Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden 22 defensive tips, a video breakdown, want to take a look at turn any defensive end or linebacker into a sack master with this easy setup. What I'm about to show is a defense that I've been running over the last couple weeks that's been bringing me a lot of pressure from a defensive end or a linebacker, depending on how I want to go about it. And the cool thing about what I'm about to show here is that you don't need a top end linebacker or a top end defensive end. All you really need is a defensive end or a linebacker who's got some speed, and you can get some pressure on the quarterback, because most of the time you're not even going to get blocked. And that's what's really nice about this one. He can literally come in and get pressure on the quarterback depending on how you go about it as far as the setup. So what I want to do is I want to get right into the breakdown here. But before I do that, let's go ahead and take a look at the play that we're going to use. And this particular play I'm showing here, which is the 3-4 Cub Trio Sky Zone. If you remember right, just over the last couple days, I showed a breakdown where the nose tackle comes off the line of scrimmage, and we're able to get some nice pressure from the nose tackle and from a linebacker without actually having to control them as far as bringing pressure on the quarterback. Well, this setup I'm about to show, it's going to be a little bit different in this sense. First off, we're going to flip the play at the play call screen, so it's going to be called Trio Sky Zone Flip, if you will. And the other thing that does require manually pass rushing a defender, but as I said before, you're going to come in most of the time untouched, depending on how you go about it. We're going to talk about that as we go through this breakdown. Now, before we get to the actual setup here and start really getting into the X's and O's behind this particular play I'm about to show, I do want to go ahead and point out the playbooks just real quick here that you'll find this one in. And as you guys know, I've already pointed this out that I'm using the Dolphins playbook for mostly a lot of the 3-4 breakdowns that I've been doing. But I also use the 3-4 playbook as well. So those are the two primary playbooks that I use whenever I'm using the 3-4 base scheme. So just keep that in mind. For this video breakdown, I am going to go ahead and use the Dolphins playbook. All right, let's go ahead and get right on into the setup. As I've already mentioned, this is going to be out of the 3-4 Cub. And I'm going to go ahead and go to this play here, the 3-4 Cub Trio Sky Zone. You'll notice I'm going to go ahead and flip it. So let's go ahead and flip it right now at the play call screen. And for the offensive side of things, let's run it from the Bears playbook. And let's go ahead and run this gun trio offset weak verticals play right here. Now, this does send all the receivers out. I do want to point that out. All right. Now, first off, the very first thing I want to talk about is you'll notice I have not subbed in anybody yet. I am going to do that later in the video breakdown. Matter of fact, I'm going to take one of the lowest rated linebackers that I have on my team, on the Vikings that is, and I'm going to put him in at the left end position. But for now, let's go with this. First off, I want to go ahead and show you the defender that we're going to go ahead and use here, at least initially. And this one here is an X factor, this particular defender here. And it's going to be this gentleman right here from the Vikings, Daniel Hunter. Now, as you look at your screen right there, he is a top-notch defensive end. He's pretty darn good as far as what he can do as far as bringing pressure on a quarterback. So that's who I want to go ahead and show here first. And then I'm going to get into showing you a defender that's not nearly the elite level that Daniel Hunter is. And we'll talk about that here as we go through the breakdown. So let's go ahead and get right back onto the field here. And as I've already pointed out to you, we're going to go ahead and use Daniel Hunter right here. So he's lined up right there at the left end position. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the setup. So there we are in the Trio Sky Zone. I'm going to go ahead and run through this real quick. So it's going to be this right here where you go ahead and hit base align, then hit show blitz. And why that show blitz is going on, this is kind of key here. You want to go ahead and hit the RB button or the R1 button as he's going back. So if you watch this, when I hit the show blitz, then what's going to happen is this nose tackle right here is going to start sliding back. It's right there as he's sliding back that you want to hit the RB button, because if you hit that RB button, which is your QB contain, that's going to get you this blitz rush angle that he's showing here, this rush angle where he's going this direction and this direction. Well, as I pointed out in the previous video when I showed the Trio Sky Zone blitz that I showed earlier this week or a couple days ago, what's going to happen when you do that is that he's going to go into this direction here. And you don't want it where he has both of these with that particular setup. But for this particular setup, you do want to have it where he's going in both directions here, because what's going to happen here is once the ball is snapped, he's actually going to go towards this direction here. We want him to go towards the left. We want him to go between the left guard and center. And you're going to see why once I get into instant replay. I'm going to explain to you why I want him to do that. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and take control of this guy right here. This is this linebacker. Now, this is optional. You do not have to do this, but it's going to help widen things out and make this blitz even work that much more effective. And again, you're going to see why this is going to work when I go into instant replay, when I can really explain it to you a little bit more. So what you want to do is you just want to move him just slightly over a notch, like a half a notch to a notch. You can't slide him way over here because once you do that, watch what happens with it. He's not in QB contain anymore. So you got to try to keep him somewhere where he's still in QB contain, such as right there. So make sure when you do this that he's still in QB contain when you slide him out. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but what that's going to do is going to help widen things out. And I'm going to show that here in instant replay to why we just did that. Next thing you want to do is you want to switch back to Hunter, which is that left end here, and you want to go ahead and put him into a vertical hook, such as I'm showing on your screen right there. So you can see he's in a vertical hook now. And then the next thing you're going to want to do, now, depending on the defender that you have, if you have a superstar X-Factor type defensive end or linebacker, then you're going to want to slide him in 2 notches. So if you look at this, now we essentially have 2 down linemen here. If you look at this, that's what you want to do with the setup here. You want to go ahead and slide him in 2 notches. Now, what's going to happen here once I snap this ball, this guy right here, which is going to be this right tackle, you're going to see that once the ball is snapped, he's going to look and he's going to go ahead and block to the inside here. You're going to see him go ahead and block to the inside real hard. He's going to go way to the inside here and block. And you're going to see what's going to happen here. And it's going to allow me to get that outside pressure with Hunter without ever being blocked, if I so choose not to be blocked. Now with Hunter, because he has the X factor ratings where he has that extra defensive edge rush passing ability, then you can go ahead and engage because you're going to slide right past him anyway. So we'll go ahead and do that right now with this block, with this setup. So let's go ahead and watch this. I want you guys to watch him, which is the guy I'm in control of, Hunter. And then I also want you guys to go ahead and focus in on this linebacker right here, which is going to be the right inside linebacker on the depth chart. He'll be the number 2 linebacker in the middle linebacker spot. So let's keep that in mind. And again, we'll talk about all this once we get in instant replay. So let's go ahead and snap this ball here. And then you're just going to see, you're going to come around here and you're going to get pressure on the quarterback. You can see right there, as you look at it, our inside linebacker got there. Plus I was getting there just a little bit late, but I was getting there. Let's go and do the same setup real quick. And I'll just go through this real quick this time. So we're going to go show baseline, show blitz. Got to make sure you do this where you hit that RB right there. You're going to switch over here, widen him out just a little bit, switch back over here, put this guy in the vertical hook, slide him in 2 notches. Now, you may not have enough time to do all that. If you even slide him in 1 notch, it's still going to work. And as I said before, you do not have to move that right outside linebacker out. It's up to you. I'm just showing you guys the full setup to this, and then we'll go back and talk about some other things a little later. Let's go and run it one more time here. See how we're going up here, and then we got I just missed him as I came around, but you can see right there, we're getting some instant pressure right there. So let's go back in instant replay because I want to walk you guys through to what's going on here. So let's go into this. All right, so let's start off over here with this linebacker right here. This is going to be the right outside linebacker. The reason that we want to widen him out, you remember I took him, when I was showing you guys the setup, that I moved him slightly over another notch to the left. The idea of this is to force this left tackle to go ahead and look the block into this area here. I want him to go ahead and focus in and widen his block further out. As he's widening his block out, that's going to create a bigger gap for this linebacker to shoot through, where he has a cleaner gap. So it gets a lot more cleaner for him to go ahead and shoot through this B gap right here than it would be if I didn't move that linebacker further out, if that makes sense to you guys. So that's the reason that I want you guys to try to move him out, because if you move him further out wide, it's going to widen the way that left tackle blocks. So that's the reason behind that. Now, you don't have to do that, but this is going to help give you a clearer path for that inside linebacker to shoot through that B gap. See how he's got a much more cleaner gap to shoot through than you would if you didn't move him out as far as the right outside linebacker. All right, so let's go back and rewind this a little bit more. Now, this guy, which is the one I'm in control, which is Hunter, the reason I slide him in, the further I slide him in where I get him kind of head up over the center, is because it's going to force this guy, the right tackle, to block further inside. The further he goes inside, that means the shorter distance that I have once this guy drops back, that's the shorter distance that I have to go ahead and manually rush him. That's the reason you want to bring him inside, so he goes further inside to block, and then you can loop around him and go after the quarterback. Even if you get blocked, if you got a superstar type player such as Hunter, then you can go ahead, look, see how far, I didn't even have to go that far out. If you would have thought about this, initially, Hunter be lined up some over here, but him lining up right here, then I can come right in here and go around here and go after the quarterback. Whereas if I had him lined up here, then I'd have to go further out wide. So this shortens the path towards the quarterback, if you will. And that's the reason behind that. So that's why you want to do is everything I'm showing here, because it's going to make it that much more effective as far as bringing pressure on the quarterback. Now, the other thing I want to point out, this is Justin Fields of the Bears. Now, he's a pretty fast quarterback, right? If he were to try to take off towards the right here, then I'm going to be in pretty good position here as I manually pass rush to work my way over here to sack him. Now, let's be honest with you. How many times have you played online and you've seen your opponent consistently roll the quarterback towards the right side of the field if he's a right-handed quarterback? In real football, it's easier for the quarterback to throw on the run to the right than it would be if he were to go to the left. So next time you play a game online, kind of just keep track of how many times your opponent rolls to the left versus rolling to the right. I guarantee it, more often than not, he's going to roll to the right in most cases. And a lot of the plays that we all practice on, we don't often flip the play on the offensive side when we're sitting here in practice mode. We run it based on it, the standard plays and not being flipped. So a lot of the plays that we run, we're running them based on this. And a lot of times, a lot of guys you'll see, especially a lot of these one touchdown plays, guarantee if you go on YouTube and start looking at one touchdown passing plays, how many times have you seen a lot of these videos where the guy is running over here and then he's throwing a dart down the field here and hitting someone way down here for a big play down there. Like, for example, maybe this Bears receiver's over here coming across. You've seen this. How many times have you seen this guy coming across here and making a big play? I'm talking about this guy right here as you look at your screen, coming across, and then all of a sudden your opponent's making that throw somewhere down here and making that big play down the field down there. How many times have you seen that? And you see a lot of times on YouTube where you'll see those type of plays, those one touchdown plays. Well, by doing this, you're going to prevent that quarterback from rolling all the way out of here. You're going to try to prevent that from happening. So that's the idea what I'm trying to show here. So at any rate, that's it on that as far as what that goes. So you can definitely get some pressure with this defense. Now, one other thing I want to show, one thing as you're looking at this, you're going to notice that this linebacker moved up into the gap right there. You really don't want that. If you see that, you may have to either reset the play. If you can, go ahead and reset it. That's one thing you could do. If he still stays up there, then you're going to have to do some other stuff with it. But for example, here, we're going to go ahead and base a line right here. Then that means you're going to need to move him off the line of scrimmage. And that's just going to require one more thing you're going to have to do. You really don't want him too close to the line of scrimmage because it's going to risk him getting blocked. So there it is right there is the setup. Now, one other thing you notice, I didn't have a chance because I was talking. I forgot to put in QB contain why this nose tackle was going back into a stance off the line of scrimmage. But that's fine. It still works. I just prefer him rather than having his rush angle going towards the A gap between the center and the right guard. I prefer it to go in this direction. We'll talk about that again here in just a second once I get this done, this setup here. But let's just go ahead and keep going on. So we're going to go ahead and move Hunter into that area there. This time I'm only going to slide him over one notch. Now I can tell you this may not work quite as well as it did in the initial setup, but this is what you could do. You don't have to slide him over two. You can slide him over one and still have success with this. So there we go again. We're still going to come after the quarterback and still get pressure. So you don't have to do all that extra stuff. Matter of fact, let's do it this time in the same setup. Let's not move that outside linebacker, the one over to the left there on your screen. So let's do this. This is all we're going to do. We're just going to go with this setup right here. We're not even going to move anybody this time. I'm not even going to slide Hunter in. You can still make this work. So you still get that same pressure. So you don't even have to move anybody. You can still get the pressure. The only difference is, as I pointed out earlier, by moving Hunter to the inside, as you watch this, is going into replay. See, now I have to go further out wide now. I have to go a little bit further. earlier I could go through right here. I could come right up this area here. Now I got to go a little bit further outside here as you look at it. And as you look over here, the gap here between this guy right, sorry about that, the gap between the left tackle and the left guard is not quite as wide as it was earlier when I moved that outside linebacker further over. You don't have to manually move anybody. You can run this blitz without having to do it, and you're still going to get the same type of pressure. The difference is it does create a little bit of a clearer path for the right outside linebacker, and it gives you a quicker path with the left end as far as getting pressure on the quarterback. That's what I want to point out there. All right, so in the title, if you remember right, let's go back to the title here just real quick, if you don't mind. I talked about turn any defensive end or linebacker into a sack master with this easy setup. Well, the only thing I didn't fail to tell you guys is that you cannot do this with a inside linebacker. You can only do it with an outside linebacker. So just keep that in mind. But the defensive ends, you can do it with, so it doesn't matter. You can flip-flop them, whatever. So let's go back into the play call screen here, or actually substitutions. So I want to talk about this next here. So what I want to do is I want to go back into the substitutions right here and talk about that as far as with this breakdown. So let's go ahead and make a sub here. Let's go back, actually go back to the 3-4. Sorry about that, getting a little off track. But let's go back into the 3-4 Cub. And let's do this. Actually, let's get out of this for a second. Let's go into the packages. And let's go ahead and swap this defensive flip. Let's go and do the defensive flip first. So we're going to do DE flip. So what this is going to do is I'm going to go into the coaching thing. I want to show this to you as far as the depth chart. And I want to show you what we got going on here. Now, you remember, right, Hunter right there, Daniel Hunter was lined up to the left end position. Well, by doing the DE flip, we're now going to get Griffin. Now, he's only an overall is an 80. He's not a superstar, not an X factor. He's got 80 speed. So we went ahead and flipped him, right? We went ahead and flipped him over, but we're going to do the same setup, and I promise you I'll get the exact same pressure that I got with Hunter. The only difference is I don't have a superstar. But let's go ahead and do the same thing here. So let's go ahead and go through the setup. Same thing. I'm not even going to move anybody except for Griffin. I'm going to go ahead and move him in. I'm going to go ahead and move him in two notches. I've got enough time, I figure. Why not go ahead and do it? So I'm just going to go ahead and move him in 2 notches, but everything else is set up the same as I showed earlier, minus I didn't move that, I didn't slide this linebacker out just a notch over to the left. I just left him where he's at. All right, if you look at it, here's Griffin. He's lined up right there. Remember, he's only an 80 overall, but we're still going to get that same pressure with him coming off the edge here. See, we still got that same pressure. The only difference is I had to take a little wider angle than I might have wanted to, but I can still get that to work. Same thing. There's your same setup right here. This time I'll slide them in just 1 notch. And again, this is only an 80 overall. And there I come after the quarterback untouched, and I still got pressure on the quarterback. I still got that inside linebacker hitting him, and I still can get him to my, I still, for some reason, that linebacker gets blocked. Say to leave the halfback in the pass block. Say this halfback stays in the pass block and he picks up that blitzing linebacker here. It doesn't matter because I'm coming around this corner and I'm still going to get pressure from the outside. Even if they roll that quarterback, I guarantee it, I'll be in position to go ahead and defend that. So there you go. You can see right there. Look how wide I am right here. There's no way that Fields, or if they're in control of him, they're going to roll him out over in this direction here, because they roll him out over there, he's going to get splattered. I'm going to hit him hard and maybe even cause a fumble. So that's with an 80 overall line, or 80 overall defensive end, that I'm still getting pressure on the quarterback the way I wanted. Now let's go ahead and do one last thing. I just showed you a defensive end that's not a superstar X factor. Let's go into another defender and find somebody on the depth chart that isn't even really on the radar as far as with the Vikings. Matter of fact, let's go find a rookie that we can go ahead and get pressure with the quarterback. So let's go out of this and go back into the coaching thing here. Actually, let's not even do that. Well, let's go back into coaching. We do want to go into coaching. No need to kind of go back and forth here, guys. I was just trying to think how I want to go about this. I do want to show you guys something with this particular player I'm about to show, and I already know who it is I'm going to show here. But let's go into the linebackers here, and let's go all the way down this depth chart. Let's go ahead and see if we can find him here. I'm trying to remember who he is here. I actually know who it is. I just totally lost my train of thought of what I was wanting to do here, guys. All right, let's go down here and find this gentleman as we go through here. There it is, Surratt. That's the guy I was trying to find. This guy right here, his name's Chaz Surratt. Now, he is a rookie. He is 67 overall. All right. Not the best. He's a rookie. The one thing I liked about him when I was looking at this depth chart was this right here. This 86 speed rating really caught my eye. Matter of fact, if you were to go down through the pretty much the whole Vikings team, you're only going to find a few guys that even have that rating. You got this guy Barr, who's a linebacker, which we could put him in, but I wanted to take somebody who was even lower than him. He's a 79 overall. And I started looking down here and I found Surratt right there at a 67 overall with an 86 speed. And then Hunter, of course, he's the 87, but I just wanted to show you that you don't even need Hunter. So let's go back into, we're just going to do a sub this time. And I want to talk about that here in a second here. So let's go ahead and move Surratt here into that position. Look, I got to go all the way down to find him. Here he is right there. We're going to go ahead and put him in there. Number 41 is coming in, and he's going to become a sack master. I promise you that. All right, so let's go back in here, and let's go back into this play. Oh, totally wrong play here. Totally losing my train of thoughts today for some reason. Let's go back here, not staying focused. Let's go ahead and get right back in here and sub him out as far as, let's go ahead and get Surratt right there. He's lined up right up here. We're going to go ahead and put him in there. So there's Surratt. He's lined up at the left end position. As you look at your screen, we're in a 3-4 cub. We're going back to the trio sky zone here. And we're going to go ahead and call that play right there as you look at it. And we make sure we flip it at the play call screen. Remember to go ahead and flip it. All right, so there's the verticals play, what we've been talking about. As you look at your screen here, and here is going to be the new stud that we have on our team. It's Surratt. Never heard of him. Don't even know who he is. No offense to him, but he's really, he's just an average player that happened to make the Vikings this year, and I'm going to turn him into a sack master. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the same setup here, as I've already pointed out to you guys. There it is right there, same setup. I'm going to go ahead this time, and I am going to go ahead and move this guy out just a smidge to the left as you look at your screen. Surratt, I'm going to leave him right out here. Now, earlier in the video, I talked about this. Because he doesn't have a high finesse rating as far as a rush rating, as far as his finesse rating goes, he's not going to be able to, most cases, unless he runs up against a right tackle that has a lower pass block finesse rating, he's not going to be able to work his way around there and be able to do that amination where you get there where he kind of tries to block, but he doesn't really block. So someone like this, you don't want to move him to the inside at all. What you want to do is you want to leave him right where he's at. And then once that ball is snapped, you're going to go ahead and manually rush him to the outside here. Let's go ahead and do that. You're going to manually rush him to the outside, and then you're going to come in unblocked because you're going to go too far out where he can't block you anyways. And then you're going to go after the quarterback. And so you can still get a sack, especially if the quarterback, as I talked about earlier, where this quarterback starts to start rolling out, then you're going to be in possible position here to make a sack anyway, especially when you start rolling out to the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and put him into the vertical hook, such as you see on your screen. And then we're going to go ahead and run this play, and I'll just show you what I mean by all this here as you watch this. So we're going to go all the way around, and we still even got around him, even with the animation, he was able to do that. So that right tackle must not have a very high pass block finesse rating. But at any rate, you can see right there it is. Now this time I didn't call QB contain, so I'm not going to get this guy. I am going to move this guy out, but I'm not going to get this nose tackle going in both directions as far as his art goes. But what'll happen this time is he'll actually go to the right side here. But that's all right. We're still fine with it. We can go with this setup just like this. I'm still going to get that same pressure. So again, I'm going to go ahead and put him into a vertical hook, and then I'm just going to go ahead and snap the ball. Oh, there it is right there. There's a good example of what'll happen if you don't put that guy into QB contain, or if you don't hit QB contain while the nose tackle is going back. Let's go ahead and do this time. There it is right there. Let's switch over here to this guy right here. Oops. Move him out just a smidge to the right side there. And there we go. Now we got that same setup I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and run this one more time, and you guys are going to see what'll happen here. See how that guy goes inside? There it is. Didn't get blocked at all. And I got pressure on the quarterback. So what I'm trying to show you guys is pretty much any defender can come into that position. And when I say that position, the faster he is, obviously the better, but he does not have to be a top end player to manually pass rush him and get pressure on the quarterback. So just keep that in mind when you run this, is that you're going to get this pressure on the quarterback pretty consistently by doing the exact same way I'm doing this setup here. Let's go ahead and slide him out one more time. and then we're going to go ahead and put them in a vertical hook, and there's the setup. So it's so simple. It takes really quick. It's like I said, a very easy setup. It is something that I've been using online that's been getting me a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And all I got to do is just do what I'm doing right here, and I'm going to get a lot of times. So I just want to go ahead and point that out to you guys. Hopefully this is a setup that you guys can use out of this 3-4 Cub from the Trio Sky Zone that I feel is pretty darn effective in this year's game. And please excuse me for not having it out to you guys earlier. It's something I just came across just a couple weeks ago, and I've been trying to kind of modify it and make it even better. And I've got to the point now I feel pretty comfortable showing it to you guys. So anyways, this, guys, is a blitz that you'll find out of the 3-4 Cub. It's called Trio Sky Zone. Make sure you flip it. Doesn't matter what defensive end or linebacker you have at the left end position, preferably somebody fast. You're going to get that type of pressure, and it's pretty consistent as far as bringing that type of pressure I'm showing in this video breakdown. Hey Madden gamers, if you enjoy this Madden video or any other video, please subscribe to the Madden Guides YouTube channel. And as always, thanks for watching and for your support.